They're one of my favorite bands, and I'm really excited, so please give a warm welcome to Death Cab for Cutie.
Thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks for coming. We're going to play a song from a record called We Have the Facts and We're Voting Yes. Or if you're a record store clerk, the last good record we made.
That's right.
All right. Left uninspired by the crust of railroad earth that touched the lead to the pages of your manuscripts. I took my thumb off the concrete and saved up all my strength to hammer pillars for a picket fence. It wasn't quite what it seemed, the lack of pleasantries. My able body isn't what it used to be. I must admit I was charmed by your advances. Your advantage left me helplessly into you. Talking how the group had begun to splinter, and I could taste your lipstick on the filter. I tried my best to keep my distance from your dress, but call response overturns convictions every time. My memory cannot recall a wave of alcohol. We shared a cigarette and shaved the hours off, talking how the group had begun to splinter, and I could taste your lipstick on the filter, blushing with the hallway congregation. My best judgment signed its resignation. I rushed this. We moved too fast, tripped into the guest room. I rushed this. We moved too fast, tripped into the guest room. Thanks.
That was awesome. Another round of applause for Death Cab for Cutie, because that was amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about the song Gold Rush, which was really cool hearing it live. That was really amazing. And I know that that sample part was taken from a Yoko Ono album. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Can you tell me how did you find that little one piece and make it into a whole song?
Well, I'm just a huge fan of Yoko Ono's catalog of music, and I think I've been on a crusade for some time now to kind of beat back the really stupid, inaccurate narrative about Yoko Ono and her role not only in the periphery of the Beatles, but also just the kind of sexist, racist bullshit that comes with people, referring to her and her music. And she's one of the greatest artists of the 20th century. And she's made a number of records, Approximate Infinite Universe, Feeling the Space, the record Fly that this sample comes from, that are just really phenomenal records. And they really fly in the face of what people think of when they think of her music. Because a lot of the songwriting is fairly traditional, and it's really great. And I would argue that in some ways, I think some of the songwriting on those records rivals, what John was doing at that time as well.
Yeah, she's definitely an amazing artist, amazing performance artist too. Has she heard
totally.
this song?
Yeah, well, I kind of took this chunk of this song called Mine Train, which is like an 18-minute kind of experimental kind of piece of awesomeness, and then kind of just took the first couple bars and just kind of looped little bits of them to make the sample that we wrote that song around. And we had to get approval for the sample, so we sent it over to her via her representation and got her blessing, and it's kind
That's
of cool,
so cool. So
and
she's heard the song and she likes it.
I don't know, likes it maybe, but blessing though. But the interesting thing about that song too is that John Lennon is actually playing guitar on the version of that song. So it's like in this weird way we have like John Lennon like
a little piece of John Lennon.
Yeah, we have
in
a
this
little
song.
bit of John Lennon's guitar kind of dipped in the song, which is kind of a nice little kind of
That is
anecdote. Yeah.
so cool, and it goes in, and then in the video for Gold Rush, which is really cool. I don't know if it was filmed in Los Angeles, but it reminds me of like a part of LA that I lived in at one point that used to be cool, and then of course became completely gentrified. Like, and I see in the video, you can tell by the way, by the different makeup and outfits on the people, the eras are changing as they're passing by you. And then I was kind of starting to feel, well, God, everybody's probably felt like that at some point. Like the people in the old age home on Melrose, watching the people with the mohawks go by in the 80s, going, what is this? I even feel like that now because I feel like I'm getting old. So I'm like, what are these kids doing? But like, that's about your neighborhood, from what I understand?
Yeah, well, it's about my neighborhood at Capitol Hill in Seattle, and we wanted to shoot it in Seattle, but the irony is that we couldn't afford to shoot it in Seattle.
Right.
We wanted to do it there, but it's like
why.
it's too expensive. Yeah, exactly. It's like we'd love to do it in Seattle, but we can't afford to shoot it. It's like that makes sense. That's kind of fitting. So yeah, we shot it in an area just west of downtown LA. Yeah.
Oh, and it is like about the whole gentrification scene, because I know. Obviously, we know what that's about, right? We live in San Francisco. But, I mean, in Seattle, it's kind of the same way with Amazon and everything. And
well, I think, I think there's an undertone of just kind of how the city has changed. And I think that is obviously that's due in large part to the gentrification of the city because of the tech industry. I mean, you guys know about it here in San Francisco, of course. But I think more so, there are a lot of people who've written kind of very pointed songs about Seattle and how Seattle's changed, whether it's like Taco Cat or Childbirth or Wimps, like bands that are writing songs specifically about like bros on Capitol Hill taking over.
Right.
But I didn't want to necessarily I wanted to write something that was more related to kind of how, as I've grown up in that neighborhood, how a lot of the geography of the city that I've kind of identified with and kind of placed my like hard drive of memories inside are kind of going away. And I think that's just a function of getting older in general, but also it's happening at an accelerated pace in Seattle as, the tech industry has kind of taken over the culture of the city, which is unfortunate for, I think, me and I think for most people who kind of who've been living in Seattle trying to make art or music. It's becoming increasingly difficult to afford to do it there if you're not someone like me who's in a successful band who makes money and can afford to live there, so.
Are there any indie bands that you're listening to right now that you like?
Oh, many. Yeah, of course.
Can we hear about them? Because I know, like, when Jay-Z wanted to do his whole streaming thing, I remember you being very vocal about that, how they could have given indie artists a chance maybe to use that as their own platform. So just wondering what you guys were listening to. What are your favorites? You don't have to list all of them.
Yeah, I mean, well, you go first, Dave, and I'll go after you.
The first thing that's coming to mind is the new Natalie Prass record.
Yes.
I'm really obsessed with that. The Future and the Past, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying the most recent Hop Along record that came out earlier this year. I'm really liking that one a lot. Yeah. And as far as Seattle bands go, you know, I love Chastity Belt and Taco Cat and Wimps, the band that is obviously just mentioned. But what about you, Zach?
I'm the wrong person to ask that question to. All of my records are from before 1970.
Hipster.
Well, what's your favorite?
Like new music?
No, from the 1970s.
Oh, like Ornette Coleman.
Okay. So jazz. Cool. I want to talk a little bit, not to bring up like a crunchy, toxic topic, but you guys, I really appreciate what you did on 30 songs, 30 days, which is now, of course, taking on a whole new life of its own, and it's like 1,000 songs, 1,000 days. But you guys did the first track on that, and I thought that was really poignant with $1 Million Loan. Can you talk a little bit about that? And are you going to do anything like that in the future? Because
I think that was kind of a one-time thing. I think there are people who are much better versed in writing kind of political material and who are, you know, like the Bruce Springsteens and Ted Leos of the world are doing better jobs of that than we would. But I think at the time, you know, for those who aren't familiar with the song, I just kind of, there were so many things that this guy has said or done that are just horrendous. But at the same time, I think at the time there was, I couldn't understand how I couldn't understand how a working class person could hear a billionaire say, I started out my business with a small loan of $1 million from my father. Which, number one, it's not true. But even if that was true, that could be a point of like, oh yeah, this guy really has worked his way up to the top. He only had $1 million to start. And that's just been something that I've never quite understood. So yeah, I kind of wanted to write a song that was like from the perspective of like, you know, the verses are kind of, they're not slanderous. They're just like, yeah, this guy's looking out at his world, and he's like, did this all myself, and all I needed was just $1 million loan to kind of get it all going. So a piece of satire, sort of.
I heard it on an interview that he was asked if he'd heard the song, and he said, no, but it's terrible. I would be really proud if I were you.
No, that's not
awesome.
actually. That's actually not true. That was some fake news that we put out in the world. That
awesome.
that he was talking to Sean Hannity. Yeah, and that Sean Hannity asked him about it, and then he made fun of our band name. Yeah, well, we're probably too small potatoes for him to know who we are.
Well, hopefully he doesn't listen to Death Cab, because that'd be.
I know. You know, Ivanka did come to some of our shows back.
She did?
In the early aughts, yes. When she was in her punk phase, remember that?
I don't.
I don't either.
think I missed that.
I don't either. I don't remember that either. She claimed she had a punk phase. This was like about a year ago. She's like, I had a punk phase.
Just for like a year in her 30s.
Yeah, pretty punk.
Right.
Pretty punk.
Well, there's a song on your album called 16 Punk, right? I haven't heard that yet because I can't wait. The album comes out August 17th.
Yes.
Thank You for Today is the name of the album. And what is that song about?
I think it's better you just hear it first.
Okay.
Because it's like if you were like painting something, I was like, tell me about that painting that you're doing, and I haven't seen it.
Right.
You wouldn't make any sense to you, and it would be a waste of time.
True.
But I think
my
after-
mom's an artist, and she describes paintings to me all night, so I cannot wait to take a clip of this and send it to her.
But I think after the song comes out, we can talk about it then.
I would love that.
Yeah, and maybe when everybody else has heard the song, then that'll make a little more sense.
I'd love that. And I'd really like to hear 2 more songs, if that's possible.
Yeah, we can do that, for sure.
Awesome. How about 2 more songs from Death Cab for Cutie, guys?
Sent a photo out your window of Tokyo. Told me you were doing fine. Said the cherry blossoms were blooming and that I was on your mind. But I couldn't make you out through the glitches. It's how it always seems to go. So we say our goodbyes over Messenger as the network overloads. When the network overloads, you're my wonder, little wonder, off across the sea. falling asleep when you're waking. I count the hours on my hands, doing the math to the time zone you're at was an unseen part of the plan. But if you'll be my bluebird returning, then I will be your evergreen, standing tall on your horizon, guiding you home to me, guiding you home to me. You're my wonder, little wonder, off across the sea. You're my wonder, little wonder, won't you wander back to me? You're my wonder, little wonder, how I wish that you could see. Little wonder, how I need you back with me. Back with me. Send a photo out your window of Paris, what you wish that I could see. Someone's gotta be the lighthouse, and that someone's gotta be me. And I hope your absence makes us grow fonder. I hope we always feel the same when our eyes meet past security. We embrace in the baggage claim, when we kiss in the baggage claim. You're my wonder, little wonder, off across the sea. You're my wonder, little wonder, won't you wander back to me? You're my wonder, little wonder, how I wish that you could see. Little wonder, how I need you back with me. Back with me.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna play one more song for you. Thanks for coming down in the middle of the day. This song's from a record called Transatlantis.
Glove compartment is inaccurately named, and everybody knows it, so I'm proposing a swift, orderly change. Behind its door, there's nothing to keep my fingers warm. All I find souvenirs from better times, before the gleam of your taillights fading east, to find yourself a better life. I was searching for some legal documents. The rain beat down on the hood when I stumbled upon pictures I tried to forget. And And that's how this idea was drilled into my head. It's too important to stay the way it's been. There's no blame for how our love did slowly fade. Now that it's gone, it's like it wasn't there at all. And here I rest with disappointment and regret collide, lying awake at night. There's no blame for how our love did slowly fade. But now that it's gone, it's like it wasn't there at all. And here I rest for disappointment and regret collide, lying awake at night, all night, when I'm lying awake at night. Thanks, you guys.
When you came to me, you say you love me. When you tend to go, you make up their story. The broken heart you brought to my life, the bitter taste of a shameful life. Why you lied to me at the day you came? And why did you give me? We've been together too long enough. I know your soul as I know myself. You fool with me to date other guys. I know that you don't really love me. I just forgive and try to forget. Don't you really? Our faith has been sad today. I've been alone, walking around in the silent sound till the end of the blurry way. I felt some things blowing my ears. Lonely night, my heart was beating. I'm calling.